Every choice has a consequence. As a business ethics speaker, regardless of the group that I'm addressing, I always begin with that statement. Every choice has a consequence. Today in this video blog, we're going to explore choices and consequences and perhaps look at the motivation. Today we're going to deal with an Eastern North Carolina physician, a Janet Johnson Hunter, who the latter part of 2009 in December pled guilty to Medicare fraud. It seems that Dr. Hunter, for some 3.5-year period of time, owned and operated a private ambulance service, and while operating that business, directed her employees and subordinates to change medical records. And the result was that as those records were changed, there was an increase in billing for Medicare or Medicaid of some $400,000. Now, while $400,000 seems like a lot of money, the reality is, to someone who is a physician, one would assume that her future earning capacity would far exceed $400,000 over a 3.5-year period of time. But to effect a fraud, 3 things are required. 3. Number 1, need. Now, let me say, I don't know Dr. Johnson Hunter, so I can't evaluate what her need might have been. It would be obvious to assume that since this is a monetary crime, her need might have been money. But then Bernie Madoff likely didn't need the money, but yet he has been convicted and sentenced to 150 years in prison for one of the largest financial crimes in United States history. But the second component is opportunity. How did Dr. Johnson Hunter have the opportunity to effect this fraud? Now, those people who look at fraud, and especially folks in the accounting world, would say, well, there needs to be effective internal controls to prohibit someone having that opportunity. Need, opportunity, and the third is rationalization. That's the component that becomes somewhat difficult to put your hands around, because the issue is, how is it that I can understand the difference between right and wrong, ethical and unethical, and rationalize that my behavior is in fact okay? I can't identify Dr. Johnson Hunter's rationalization. I don't know what she was thinking, but I know this. I know that every choice has a consequence, and I know that the likely consequence of her choices will be time spent in federal prison. And the one thing that is true, having spent some time there myself, is that you do have time to think about the consequences of your choices. The one thing I would leave you with here as you listen and think about choices and consequences, right and wrong, need, opportunity, and rationalization, is a statement that was made to me many years ago. When the proverbial card was pulled from the fraud that I had created, a gentleman said to me, he said, "Son, you have made a terrible mistake, but you are not a mistake." And then he proceeded to say this. He said, "The choices that you make today will define your life in the future and the legacy you leave for your 2 children. Make those choices wisely." So let me leave today this video blog with the statement, every choice has a consequence. Make your choices wisely. This is Chuck Gallagher. Visit me at chuckgallagher.com or chuckgallagher.wordpress.com. I'd welcome your comments.